Hello, my narcissistic abused family. Great topic today. I just put up a post about this on Instagram. It's really on my mind lately because I know that it's not easy being the cycle breaker. Firsthand experience and from all of our input put together as well. So I have 6 reasons why being the black sheep cycle breaker is no easy feat. It's not for the faint hearted. And we're the chosen ones. We're up to the task. So there's a lot that goes into it. Make no mistake. There's a quote by Robert Frost that I put up today as well. It's two roads diverged in the woods. I chose the one less traveled by, and it made all the difference. That's a quote by Robert Frost, and it's absolutely true. It couldn't be more applicable to us and what we're doing. It's like we were the black sheep, the scapegoats, because we are the trailblazers, we're the strong ones, and we were, not without much adversity, a lot of punishment, basically, because as the black sheep are typically the truth tellers, the justice seekers, and we're not the ones that are just going to fall in line and sit back while all of this abuse is taking place and people are being hurt, including us. It's not right, and we know it. And God bless us for having that integrity and intuition from birth, because obviously we were trained otherwise based on our upbringing and the environment in which we're raised. So I'm going to go over these 6 difficult aversions to us fighting the abuse, to going against the narcissist. And whether or not you've gone no contact, either way, you are not being a doormat, you're not being complicit to the abuse. So that in and of itself is absolutely groundbreaking. You are a trailblazer. If you've got no contact, God bless you. Best gift I've ever given myself. So here we go. I'm getting into it. The number one of the most difficult elements to being the black sheep or cycle breaker is the isolation. Narcissists isolate you very intentionally from the beginning. They do this because they can't stand anyone challenging or contesting their irrefuted dominance. So outsiders could potentially come in and be like, something's not right here, and therefore expose the narcissist for all of their malicious behavior and ill treatment of others. So they isolate you. And this was done to me all growing up. It's like my relationships, friendships, anything with anyone outside the dysfunction was always deterred. It was always frowned upon. The narcissistic mother, always had something to say about everyone, always criticizing people and deterring outside relationships. And in my unfortunate experience in the relationship with the narc, he did the same thing to me. I had a group of friends that ultimately became cohorts of this creep jerk. He turned everyone, because clearly they weren't very good friends to me to begin with. And when he discarded me, dumped me, that involved leaving all of it. Like, I stopped contact with all of them, the whole bunch. It was like, I've done a post about this on Instagram as well. It's like, yeah, in this case, a rotten apple spoils the entire bunch, because anyone that subscribes to this disordered, malicious person's toxicity belongs with them. They have no place in your life. But as I was saying, when you're being narcissistically abused, the narcissist intentionally isolates you, whether that's a parent or a spouse, a partner, or something. They want to separate you from any potential support system because they don't want to be questioned. They don't want to be challenged. They just want to carry on with hurting you without anyone interfering. So, isolation. And another element to this is, if you were raised by narcissistic parents, the entire unit that you were surrounded by, the family, they're all disordered. It's like, it's a generational thing. The abuse typically spans multiple generations, so it's not just your parents and your aunts and uncles, it goes above that and beyond. So they're all running in that circle, and oftentimes, if you're not putting up with it, you're not compliant, you're not being a part of it, that involves leaving the whole thing. Like, that's where I'm at. I have no contact with any of them. The whole extended dysfunctional unit. I love and treasure and cherish my husband and our beautiful children, and I'm so grateful for that. So, but if you don't have that, it's incredibly hard, but trust me, once you cut that off, it opens up your life to wonderful people that actually belong in it, that will treat you right, that will appreciate you and respect you. You know, these toxic people take up space in your life, and they oftentimes inhibit you from having meaningful, genuine relationships. That was another element. One time I posted about this. The narcissistic mother. Like, narcissists come from a bad place. They're miserable, and they have such a negative perception of everything, of life in general. They have an external locus of control, and that means that they blame everyone else for their unhappiness, for their misfortune. Anything that happens to them in life that's undesirable is, oh, of course that would happen to us. Like, I can't tell you how many times I heard that from the narc mother. Just that, you know, they have such unfortunate luck and everything else. Like, they will never take accountability ever for any of their doing, for any of their part in the lives that they live. And believe you me, they reap what they sow. So number one of the most difficult parts of breaking the cycle, being the black sheep, is the isolation. So number two is the degradation that you've been dealing with. Again, whether it's upbringing or it's with a spouse or a partner, they are deliberately, it's I can't even think of a word that, it's just monstrous. It's so disgusting. This is one of the most horrific elements to narcissistic abuse, I find, is that they're constantly degrading you. They're constantly putting you down and chipping away at any self-worth, self-respect, self-esteem that you might have. And they do this intentionally, again, because They want you to feel badly about yourself so that they can carry out their abuse, so that you won't stick up for yourself, so that you'll have no self-worth. So, ultimately you take their crap. So the steady degradation that you've been enduring at the hands of the narcissist is another element to why it makes it so difficult to be the black sheep, to be the cycle breaker, to break out of it. Because you question yourself, and they have intentionally set you up to do this. They instill this toxic programming within you where you're like, am I wrong? Or, and because you're isolated, all the more reason to question yourself. Like, am I doing the right thing? Like, oh, maybe they're not so bad, and so on and so forth. So number 2 is the degradation that you've been subject to. Makes it very difficult. Number 3 is the gaslighting. And again, as with the whole toxic, disgusting cycle of narcissistic abuse, it all kind of dovetails into one another. So you being isolated and constantly being degraded and made to question your self-worth leads to further gaslighting, and that makes it easy for them because they will constantly turn everything around on you. They'll constantly be like, I don't understand what your problem is. Everybody else is happy. Your brother, your sister is fine. Like, why are you causing problems? I know this very well. I was always the villain. You're always the root of all the problems. And they're the perpetual victim. That's the constant narcissistic narrative. They're always the victims. We are constantly the villains. So you'll be gaslighted ad nauseum by the actual narcissist and by the narcissistic cohort, by people that are tolerating this abuse. It's preposterous. And furthermore, by people outside of the dysfunction, outside the abuse, that don't see it, because let's face it, all narcissists do is fortify their false reputation, their ideal self that they try to project to others. So outside people will be like, oh, your mom is so nice, or your dad's so nice. Like, you must be you must be the crazy one because they're so great. Or your partner, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your wife, your husband, oh, they're lovely, they're such good people, I don't understand. So you'll be gaslighted. That's another element. Number 4 is the cognitive dissonance that you're going to experience, because we don't think like these monsters. We're genuine, good-hearted, kind, and respectful human beings. And when you get into relationships with these people, be it your parents, it's just inherently, you're born into it. So you inherently love them and trust them. But when it's a partner, a spouse, a boyfriend, girlfriend, it's like you give yourself to this person, you trust them, and you love them. And it's inconceivable for us to reconcile how absolutely cruel, awful, and twisted these people are. Like, how could someone that I love and that I give myself to and don't do any wrong by them, how can they treat me this way? But they do. That's the reality, the harsh reality of narcissistic abuse. So the cognitive dissonance is number 4. Number 5 is the triangulation, because narcissists are constantly pitting people against each other. So if the narcissist is your parent, they have triangulated the other parent against you, siblings against each other. That kind of ties into number 1 as well. The isolation. You're isolated because You don't have anybody on your side. You don't have any allies, particularly when you grow up in this nightmare. That's all you know. So everyone you're surrounded by is impacted by this dysfunction, this disorder, the toxicity. So your siblings, your other parent, everyone is just at the hand of your narcissistic parent. Again, as I was saying with my ex, whatever, my friends that I thought were my friends triangulated, I'm the crazy one. I was crazy because I treated him well and he made me crazy. So, triangulation. Last one, number 6, is the smear campaign. You're undoubtedly going to be the subject of a smear campaign. If you go against the narcissist, that's all they got. They're just pathetic excuses for human beings. So what do? They try to take you out. So they're going to slander the heck out of you, your reputation, and your name. And I'll tell you, I've gotten to a place with this where I'm finally just like, you know what? I don't care. Anyone that believes the garbage, the slander that is being said about me doesn't know me at all. So they all deserve each other. That's my stance on it at this juncture. I know it's easier said than done. It's hard when someone is lying about you and portraying you in just the worst light possible and just outright, again, lying about you and just... It's crazy, but that's what we're dealing with. Narcissists are mentally ill. They're not right. It's not a level playing field. They're not human. They're not decent human beings. So those are the 6 reasons why I believe that it's just so epically hard. It's such an undertaking to be the black sheep, to be the cycle breaker. So number 1 is the isolation. Number 2 is the degradation that you've constantly been subject to. Number 3 is the gaslighting that you'll experience. Number 4 is the cognitive dissonance, just trying to reconcile that this is happening. Number 5 is the triangulation, everyone being pitted against you. And number 6 is the inevitable smear campaign that will ensue. So, but you know what, you guys? We're up to the task. This is just further proof that we're special. We are bumped, we are bruised, but more than anything, we are blessed because we're separating ourselves from this toxicity. We couldn't be complicit if we tried, and that speaks to our strength, to our admirable qualities. And I don't know about you, I would never, I don't care how easy it is to just lay down and be a part of that. I couldn't do it if I tried. You can't either. Don't fool yourself. So, I love you guys. I will be back soon, hopefully next week. It is summer break, so quite unpredictable over here. But I love you all. Stay the course.